Hey, sis.
Hey, how's your weekend?
It was good. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Unpack This, sis. I'm Sasha.
And I'm Sierra, and you are listening to episode 5, where we talk about is it trauma or just life?
Yeah, and last week we unpacked the mental load. Is it shared or shouldered? And I don't know. I feel like we kind of said it was shouldered and that we were looking for help versus shared responsibility. And there were some aspects where we had some shared responsibility, but I think in every relationship, we can always do a little more, communicate a little better.
I feel that. Did you make any changes this week after?
Yes, actually, after we talked about doctor's appointments and all that stuff, Cole created a note that had for each kid and then like when their next doctor's appointment is and dentist and shots, like when they're due for their next shots.
Oh,
So
that's helpful. I need to do that.
yeah, so I filled all that out for him. So now he knows. So that was nice.
Well, that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, and it sparked lots of conversations. So it was good. What about you
I
guys?
say
Any
that
changes
for
to your
me
big
too.
calendar?
Well, I just did while I was weekly meal prepping, I added to that to do the weekly prep for Kyle. And I posted on our story of our weekly layout of what we needed to know. And it actually went very smoothly. Like I didn't have to do any reminders through the
Good.
week. Like he just knew what was happening and it was very helpful. And I do have to say when he's on weekends, then he kind of takes the front load during the week. So it's really helpful. But then it all comes crushing down when he's working on the weekends
Mm-hmm.
and I am like no release from the mental load. Like there's
Yeah.
not like when he's working during the week, or when he's working on the weekends, he has the week off and me and the kids are at work. So he like gets the house to himself. And he did clean
Jealous.
the whole house. I told you he's so great at that. But he got a nap and I was very envious of that. um, but yeah, but then I took the kids to the pumpkin patch and that was fun, but then it was so funny. We decided as a school to change Teacher Appreciation Week. It's usually in May, but May is crazy. As a teacher, I am very demanding of my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And then also as a teacher that's also a mom, I'm exhausted and like
Yeah.
my gift giving is not at its prime for May. So we decided as a school to change our Teacher Appreciation Week to next week. So even though I'm very thankful that it's not in May, it's still a mental load that I'm
Mm-hmm.
carrying. So I went to the pumpkin patch and had a great time with my kids, but the whole time twirling in my head of, okay, but now we have to buy things for your teachers and they have to be thoughtful and you have to make some of them and all this stuff that Kyle doesn't even know is happening. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we camped this weekend and it was so nice because I just like turned off my service and we were just out there and it was lovely and so fun. And I did find like my mind was not racing so much because like what can I do? Like I'm just here and present. So that was so fun. But it also felt good to come back and take a post camping shower because we were so gross.
oh,
My son, we made pizzas last night by hand, and I forgot to tell him to wash his hands before we started cooking. And it was so gross. Luckily, we did personal pizzas, so he just had to eat his own pizza because it was just like caked under his fingernails, just dirt from
yeah, he
2
had all
days.
that dirt under his fingers.
Yeah,
Ugh.
nasty. So, what's for dinner?
I don't. Well, for dinner tonight, I'm cooking the kids chicken Alfredo with mushrooms because my kids
Yeah.
do like mushrooms. Um, and then my meal prep is actually a chicken harvest bowl. So I'm excited for this one this week. What about
All
you?
right. We are doing like a turkey red sauce pasta something. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I have turkey defrosting and I have extra pasta sauce from our pizzas yesterday, so that's what we're
Mom life.
doing.
We're diving in to the deep end with the T word, trauma. And we're going to decide, is it trauma or is it drama? It's a famous quote from a man named Tom Cody. Look him up.
Okay,
Um,
so are you defining it? What is trauma?
trauma. Ugh. Do I have to go first on this?
Okay, I can
Um,
I can go first if you want.
yeah, you go first on this.
I
I'll
think we
talk in circles.
overuse trauma, and I
I
think
do.
real like high level trauma is like a serious event, a death, a loss. Birth can be traumatic, medical emergency, um, things like that.
But can I correct one thing? Not
Yeah,
correct. Add one thing. It could be an ongoing event. So like
sure.
abuse.
Yes.
Those like, but it's an event that can be named, is what I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's big. It's truly like something that like leaves a scar, something that maybe you have flashbacks to, something that's very difficult to process. Maybe you don't have a great understanding of it at the time. You're extremely overwhelmed by the experience. But yeah, while I think, yes, abuse and things like that can be traumatic experiences once you're out of them, I do think that generally there's like an inciting incident, like something happens.
Yeah. I do think of that it's hard to name trauma when you're young and your brain is undeveloped because working with little kids, they can't necessarily recognize the trauma that they're experiencing in that time. Um, and so, yes, event. I would say it's something that alters like chemicals in your brain and your emotions and those types of things for the long run. And like you said, it brings up flashbacks and like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. And then, but is there experiences like that is not trauma and it's just life?
Yeah, I mean, life is hard, and I think there's adversity. I think there's challenges. I think there's disruptions to your daily life.
Yes.
Um, but I think that those are things that you can be resilient to, you can overcome, you can develop coping skills for, but they're not necessarily long lasting and traumatic.
Yes. So, like, not everything needs a diagnosis, but
No,
also not everything is just life. Like, there are events that happen to you that should not happen to everybody.
correct.
Um, and or shouldn't happen in a everyday normal life.
Yeah, and I think that the conversation has gotten really big, especially in parenting, of like we're traumatizing our children, we're,
Mhm.
like whatever. And I just I mean, we're all going to kind of mess up our kids, right? Like we all are going to do something that our kids are going to remember and be like, "Mom did whatever. My mom always made me wear my clothes until they were way, way too small. I always was wearing high waters because my mom wasn't buying me new clothes." Like, that's probably something you'll remember for your life. But did it hurt you? Like, no. I mean, I did
Yeah.
hate for a very long time. I remember I was always growing so fast. So my jeans were always hitting the backs of my ankles. And I started to hate that sensation of like
Oh, yeah. That's why
rubbing
you have
them.
that weird thing with your Achilles.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Do not
If
touch
you
my
ever
Achilles.
wanna know how to, like, really bother Sasha, just grab her Achilles.
Do
Like,
not come for my Achilles.
she that is her thing, man.
Mhm.
It all
Mhm.
ties together right now.
See? Now we know.
But is that trauma or drama?
Just me being dramatic.
Yeah, see? Um, yeah, I feel that. I feel it's funny because I used to think that, like, one story I always shared about mom was that I was packing my own lunch by kindergarten. Like, I was a kindergartner packing my own lunch. And you know what I packed? I packed bologna sandwiches with ketchup. Now, that sounds terrible.
You
That's
just
what I would.
liked ketchup sandwiches.
Okay, yes, loved ketchup, there,
Gross.
but anytime I told someone that story, I would get a reaction that made it feel like trauma, right? They'd be like,
Mhm.
"Ew, gross," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I was making these gross sandwiches." No, bologna is hot dogs. It's just a cold hot dog. And now that I'm a mom, like, "Okay, come pack your own snacks." And it has nothing to do with, like, I'm traumatizing my son.
No,
It has
you're teaching
everything
him
to do with,
life
like
skills and
yes, and
independence and yeah.
yes, and also, I want him to pack food that I know he'll eat. Like, I don't care. I don't want to keep sending the same thing for lunch or for snack and you not eating it. So pack your
Mhm.
own.
Mhm.
So I think there were things that I thought that mom was traumatizing me
Yeah,
when really it was just parenthood.
mom put all the stuff for cereal down low so that we could
Yes.
make our own cereal bowls and not bug her in the morning, and I'm like, "This is genius now as a parent." Like, go
Yes.
on. Make yourself a bowl of cereal. Please turn on the TV. I would love 30 more minutes of sleep.
Yeah.
So,
So I think that it's important to recognize
right, like we're not
that
negligent or she wasn't negligent for doing that.
yes. No.
Yeah.
And that as we're growing, our kids will think that we are traumatizing them.
Mhm.
But then they'll grow up and they'll choose to be parents, or they'll just be in an adult world and realize that they were being dramatic.
I mean, how many times once I found out what social services was I like, "Mom, I'm calling social services on you, mom." Like,
Ugh,
come on.
seriously.
My speaking of trauma, my middle child is having a really hard time right now. And she's having a hard time at school. And I went to pick them up. Cole and I have been rotating. I went to pick them up. They allegedly requested that I pick them up. I went and picked them up. And as immediately when she saw me, she's like, "I didn't want you," and came out and hit me. And then yeah, like swung at me. And then
Bean?
we went to walk and I had the baby in the stroller, my older one who was tired and not listening, and then her. And we're walking up and there's like their school is downhill and then there's like a fence along the parking lot. And she right now likes to climb on the hill along the fence to just like prolong the experience of getting to the car for as long as possible. And so she wasn't coming to me and my son and the baby were waiting to cross the parking lot to get to the car, and she refused to come and yelling across the parking lot, "You're a bad mom! You're a bad mom! Bad mom!"
Oh.
So yeah, I got home and I needed a break because man, that it was a tough experience for me. I did nothing. I picked her up from school, you know? So, yeah,
Will she
parenthood.
remember that?
No,
Like, what is exactly? Like, she won't remember.
she's 3. My 5-year-old, I have come to the realization now that he will have memories of what's going on right now, like selectively, right? But like there's a chance, and we
Mhm.
don't get to pick their memories. So,
Right. Right.
and
So let's
he's
shift gears into our opposite lenses of how like trauma shows up for the two of you, or the two of you, you and Bean. No, the two of us. On how it shows up, because I like want to take that and tie it into something for me of like trauma, because like how does trauma show up? I mean, I think you and I have like lightheartedly talked about how we were very dramatic, but we
Mhm.
also have both been through trauma, and we've been trauma with the things we've gone through together, and then in our own personal lives as we've grown into adults. um we've had other traumas, and to list I'm not going to list everything that I've been through, but I've been through an abusive relationship, and us losing Rico was very traumatic.
Yeah.
um and there have been things that are trauma, or that are traumatic and that aren't drama.
Mhm.
And um for me, one of the things that brings that up, like there are lots of triggers, specifically more so around Rico and our dad. And when you were saying that she's yelling at you that you're a bad mom, I remember I was like 13. I don't even remember, but I told Rico that he wasn't my dad.
Mhm.
And because he's no longer here, that sticks with me.
Mhm.
Like, and that because he was our stepdad, but we thought so dearly of him as our dad, that the trauma of like I like feel regret of like that he ever thought that I thought he wasn't my dad.
Mhm.
And so like little triggers like that of someone telling their mom that they're not their mom. I'm like, don't say that. Don't say that. You'll regret it one day.
Mhm.
But that is how. it's crazy how when you do have trauma and those traumatic experiences, and I feel like that's how you can differ trauma from drama, is when something like so tiny that no one would know just causes that trigger.
Mhm. Yeah, especially, like, going on forward, like, I think, like, the overanalyzing and, like, hyper awareness are results of probably childhood trauma, and you carry that on into other relationships or, like, other things that are going on
Yeah.
as an adult.
Well, so how do you handle triggers? Like, let's just dad.
It's so hard because it depends, like, is it something that just, like, happened around me and brought up the feelings in me, and I have time to,
Mhm.
like, think about them? Or is it, like, in an argument or, like, something like that? But, like, usually, like, a trigger is, like, a physical feeling for me, like, I can feel it, I feel uneasy, my cheeks flush, like, um yeah. What about you?
Well, people in our society refer to the way that he died in a lot of ways, and that's like sometimes a trigger to me.
Mhm.
But I just, if there's a person that has, if it's not you or mom or Kyle or Cole or someone that like directly was present in the healing or the incident or any of that, then I like just let it go. You know, like if someone makes a comment um on something of that with no background to it, then I just let it go. Because I don't want to put my triggers are my triggers. They're my
Mhm.
trauma is my trauma. Like I
Mhm.
went through these things, and I don't expect anyone to like cater to me and my emotions. Sometimes I just like after it happens, I need to go like take a break, or sometimes I'll call Kyle and it's like this was said. I like it like brought up some emotions. I just need to cry. Sometimes I call you and I'm like, I just need to cry.
Mhm.
and but I try not to project that onto anyone that like said trigger. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like my trauma is my trauma, and it's my healing is my healing to deal with.
Yeah. And it's so hard because other people don't know your lived experiences, so how could they ever know?
Yeah.
Um,
But I feel like even like me and you,
mhm.
like we very much handled that situation and are still handling that situation very differently.
Yeah. How do you handle it?
Well, I'm very outwardly oversharer. Like I'll tell you everything. Just ask. And um, there's other things like Rico dying is one thing, and then my miscarriage is another thing. That are two things that I feel like other people experience, but there's this like perception that we should all be private about these things.
Mhm.
And granted, like some people don't want to talk about it, and I totally understand that, but I also sometimes just mention these things to let other people know that they're not alone.
Mhm.
And that is what is healing for me of like you I can just and that's what I do. When I bring up Rico, I just like in passing, like, oh, by the way, blah 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 blah. And people usually like stop in their tracks where I'm still talking about something else. Like I've moved past it. But for me, the intention is just one, you know what I've gone through and why I'm crazy. And two, like if you've gone through something similar, please know that like you're not alone.
I think that's the biggest part too, because I feel like for other people who are like in the Dead Dads Club and like I'm so quick to like jump in and be like, I'm here for you. I know that this is
Yeah.
hard. Like, and I feel like there's like a silence that I feel comfortable with being like, you can reach out, you know, but like the miscarriage thing is harder for me. Like when I have had you or friends who've had miscarriages, like I want to be there and express empathy, but for whatever reason, I'm always like second guessing, like, should I have said this? Was this the right thing to say?
Yeah.
Like, you know, how should I do this? Um, because it's not my lived experience. So it's a lot harder for me.
But I think that I had this conversation. I have a really true dear friend. I think that she's the strongest being in the world. Um, and she went through something very traumatic that I can't relate to. And we had the discussion of people that go through trauma and what the worst things to say to them. And they were similar things, even though our traumas were different. And so her and I just like, we don't ever like directly talk about what we're feeling. We just like tell each other that we're there.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have the like understanding that our hearts are there and that we are, and we will do anything for each other. But yeah, I think that is very important. And I have to say, when I was going through my miscarriage, you have a very wonderful, beautiful, amazing friend of yours who we'll give her a shout out.
Her shout out is here. If you're listening and clap your hands.
But she texted me and just said, "I'm sorry you're in this club. It's a terrible club. I love you." And like literally that's just it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like it didn't make anything better. It didn't
Yeah.
make it go away. But knowing, I think that that's so huge with the society we're in right now and phones and social media and all the things, is that everything feels so lonely
Mm-hmm.
and emotions feel lonely. Like you can see people talk about this stuff all the time on social media, but they don't talk about the emotions and the rawness and like the feelings. Like they all try to post this pretty picture of you healing from trauma or that whatever. But that is why my part of my healing process is just mentioning it and throwing it out there in a way that is not focused on me, but more just focused on like, you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever need to talk and like dissect it, just know that there's someone over here that's willing to do that for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we both do use humor as well, like to kind of protect ourselves as like self-preservation. And in this example specifically, like I could way more quickly make jokes about losing your dad than I could about
Mm-hmm.
a situation that I haven't experienced. So I don't feel comfortable like making jokes about other traumas that I haven't experienced, but
I have a joke that when I first started the gym, they really didn't know how like absurd and crazy I really am.
yeah.
And we were doing something like handstands or something. I don't even know. We were getting upside down. And one girl made a comment of like hinting at like stripperish.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, what would your dad say? And I just look at her like, what dad? And I was like, and then she was like, oh shit, like where
Yeah.
I'm just like dark humor, like,
Yes, yes.
but then like theirs is like, oh, sorry,
Mhm.
I didn't mean it, but I don't take it that way. I'm like, let's play. I have no offense.
Yeah.
I'll make dead dad jokes all day. I love those people. I just saw one the other day. Have you seen that like trend of like, my husband's gonna show you his new recipe and you be nice? And then
Oh,
like she
yes,
stands
yes.
behind him and they get friends. So this girl
Yeah.
was like, my mom wants to show you her Halloween costume and you're gonna say nice things. And she walks away and then she walks back with a box that's dressed like a Lego. And she sets it down and she goes, she's dead, but this is her Halloween costume. And it's just her urn and like a Lego. I was like, those are my people. Those are my people.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
I loved that.
That's funny.
Okay. What's next?
Um, how our reactions have progressed. So, I mean, Rico died 11 years ago?
Teen.
13
12.
years ago. See, that's also the thing that is crazy to me is that like
12.
some years are so hard when the anniversary rolls around. Like a couple years ago, I was Orange Juice from Noah Kahn on repeat. I was like at work, just like with that song on a loop, just like crying, trying to get through patience. And then the next year will go by and like I won't even think about it. So that was very shocking to me that after so long that sometimes it can be so hard and then other times like don't think about him hardly at all.
Yeah, it was 12 years, so, like, his next anniversary will be 13.
Mhm.
But I think about that too. It's funny. Before we started this episode, Sasha and I were talking about life, and I was, like, in tears. And I just said that I was grumpy, and she was like, "Do you wanna talk about it?" And I said, "No, I'll start crying." And so then we talked about how I would probably start crying in this episode, but we've turned such humor or trauma into humor, so now I'm laughing. But I do think our dad's birthday is on Thursday, and,
Mhm.
um, I don't like, there's just something sometimes all those ladybugs have been showing up a lot lately.
Yeah, it is crazy. How many ladybugs did you find at one time? Like, what's been your max that you found?
Well, when before I got my ladybug tattoo, the huge one was 2 years ago, and there was hundreds. I, like,
And is it all
infested.
at this same house? Like, or
Yes,
have they
they're all
always
I mean, I've had ladybugs show up at the other houses, but when the day that Rico died, a ladybug landed on my hand while while we were eating lunch, remember?
Mhm.
And there was a ladybug. I still have that picture of that ladybug. So they've periodically shown up, but the swarm has been this house.
Yeah.
Um, but I feed them and I water them, and the other day I had 8. I had 8 ladybugs in my bathroom.
Yeah, and they're, like, in your
And
house, which is crazy.
yes. Yeah. It's because well, yeah, they're getting in. And then anyways, what yesterday we found one at the pumpkin patch, and mom found it. But it is one of those things though that when you're looking, like, you would be amazed at when you're looking for things, like, you
Mhm.
find them. And
Mhm.
so and I feel like if we could take a life lesson from this episode, like, if you wanna see healing and positivity and happiness, like, you have to look for it, right?
Right.
Like,
Mhm.
stop trying to find the negative. The same thing happens is look around your room and look for how many blue things can you find.
Mhm.
Now, like, you'll see a lot more blue than if you were when you weren't looking,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
Um, so that's like the ladybug thing. But ladybugs specifically have been showing up a lot more lately. My emotions have been really high lately. And then just out of nowhere, I'm just like, Rico's birthday is on Thursday. But last year I had kind of I had my first breakdown at work, when like the load gets so heavy. I always say I have one, at least one a year. But last year it was right before Rico's birthday too. Um, and not like I have that date in my head. Like I don't, it just tends to be, but not every year. Like just the last 2 years, his birthday has for some reason meant something to me.
It's also just a heavy time in general for you. I feel like even though fall is my favorite season, I have noticed as I've gotten older that fall is more difficult for me. And I think it's just like a transitional time now. It used to be like a
Yeah.
destination time for me. Like fall is here. I love all things fall, back to school. Like I still have vivid memories of like going to college, like walking on the college campus and like all that stuff. And now it just feels more transitional from like the fun of summer into the holiday season. So it feels a little
Yeah.
heavier than it used to. And your birthday and teacher conferences, back to school, like probably just a lot. Just
It's just a lot. I also think the prep of holiday season, like all that's to come, like just the
mhm.
anticipation of that.
Yeah.
And then subconsciously, I mean, I don't know if you like think of this, but like for and I say this subconsciously, and I work really hard not to let it be something that affects me. But a lot of our major events happen in November, and so I just think it's like not just us. And I don't say like, oh, I'm going into November like that. I just
Mhm.
think that this time of year, like you said, for everybody is just the season, just the season.
Mhm.
But I like to feel my feels and get it over with because I don't like feeling like this. So I'll
Yeah.
probably have a good cry later with a glass of wine after my kids go to bed, and then I'll be over it. I'll be fine.
I'm due for a good cry, I think. It's funny because I was always like not a crier. Like a lot of my friends would be like, "I've never seen you cry before," and so I am like a shove my feelings down and just like grin and bear it type of person. But motherhood just cracked me open. Like I'll just
Mhm.
cry. I'm much quicker to cry, but I am due for a good cry, so it's probably coming.
Just put a terrible movie on. I'd say a good movie, but
A
Put
sad
one of those
movie.
feelings. Yeah. Um, uh, well, okay, so then when you are, like, shoving things down, do you give your would you consider that giving yourself grace for feeling those things? Or would you, like, do you not give yourself grace and that's why you shove them down?
Yeah, I think it is something that I'm working on. Like I there is like a pattern that I'm recognizing of like the way that I act. And I always think about this of like when you're annoyed of everybody, it's a you problem,
I do.
because
I do.
yeah.
Yep.
And so I start to notice that like, oh, everybody is making me mad. I have shoved something down. I have not addressed something. Like I need to take some space, some time, and like figure out what that is and deal with it and move on.
Well, and to circle back to what this whole episode about is some of those things that like you need to deal with are not necessarily trauma, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like some things are just the mental load we're
hmm
dealing with is
hmm
triggering, but it's not triggering trauma. It's just life, sis.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we're just like in a transitional space. And I think that has a lot to do with it of like living so much like in the mostly for me, it happens when I'm living too much in the future, too much to look forward to, too much planning in the future, like, and just like that anxious feeling. But yeah, that's doesn't really have to do with trauma or things like that. But I think I'm more susceptible to like flashbacks or things like that when I am like overstressed or overwhelmed or underslept or over caffeinated or dehydrated. Those are usually my
All of the
problems.
things. All of
Yeah.
the things.
If we over traumatize everything, then it kind of lets us off the hook and lets us be victims of situations instead of like taking ownership of what is actually going on. So if you're constantly a victim, then that gives you permission to not really have to work on things.
Right. Well, I think a good start for everybody, and this is like my little shameless plug to Tom Cody. He owns the company he's part creator of the company Top 20 Living, which I was introduced to him because he's our SEL, social emotional learning program that we teach our students at our school, and it's the best thing ever. I was actually on his podcast because I just like connected with it so much that I was like, I love living I never could name it, but I live my life this way and I want everyone to live their life this way. But he talks a lot about that. I mean, is it trauma or drama came from him.
hmm
So there is a book. There's one, I can't tell you it's funny. He calls it for everyday people. For everyday civilians, there's actually a book. And then there's Top 20 Living for
Educators.
teachers, and then there's Top 20 Living for teenagers, and then there's like the civilian one. If you're listening and you find, maybe I'll put it
We put
in
in the
the
link.
comments.
Yeah.
Well, you ready to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up.
So just a recap, we can carry hard things without letting things define who we are, and we can move through them, and not everything is traumatic. And I think as a whole group of humans, we should stop categorizing everything as traumatic.
Yep. I agree because things are hard, but we can do hard things.
Yes, we can.
We can be resilient and we can teach our kids to be resilient. In 2 weeks, we'll be talking about emotional balance or what happens when you feel everything all the time.
Mm,
It's exhausting. I'm tired just thinking about it.
I know. I am. But this was really fun today. It actually healed my heart before
That's all you're
planned.
doing.
I know.
I mean, literally, like I get a buzz after doing this with you. And so I don't even care if we have three subscribers, viewers, whatever, because it's just fun to spend time with you.
I agree with that. I definitely won't be crying as hard. Or I might not even need to cry now. So thanks.
All right. Well, like, follow, subscribe, catch us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and Zencaster.
And TikTok. I'm over there too.
Oh, we're on TikTok. Check us out.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.